Hey folks, Dr. Matt here for the Revival Fitness channel. And Scott, this is going to be a funny video, isn't it? Oh, yes it is. We have the final downfall of Dr. Mike Israetel. Yes, we do. Yes, we absolutely do. So, like, is Mike a complete fraud? Maybe, but there may be some grains of truth to what he says. Sometimes, I don't know, it's hard to tell. Scott, it's kind of like whenever my friend Jamal comes over and I take it really hard, and then he asks me if I want it again, and I kind of do, but I kind of don't. This is supposedly the leading expert in the industry and in the world about these topics. Dr. Mike Israetel, the exercise scientist who can't train past 5 RIR. The PhD with a completely desolate dissertation. The bodybuilding expert who can't get below 12% body fat. And the nutrition professor who is openly addicted to diet soda and eats tons of ultra-processed food, even during his bodybuilding preps. And speaking of that,
did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that research is potentially linking ultra-processed foods to these outcomes? Morgan & Morgan is stepping in to hold food companies accountable. With decades of experience fighting large corporations, Morgan & Morgan is ready to stand up for families who deserve justice. If your child under 21 has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or fatty liver disease, click the link in my description down below to learn more. It takes only a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it all right from your phone.
Some of you may be here for the first time, or you're relatively new. You may not have seen a number of videos I've done in the past, either directly about Mike, or they discuss him in some capacity. I've been trying to warn you guys for a while now, and this goes beyond simple disagreements about training philosophies and his terrible sense of humor. This is really about this man's intellect. As I recently pointed out, over and over, in my reaction to his terrible defense of Jeff Nippard, this guy is a glorified midwit.
And yet again, you see the gaslighting there, the concept that Jeff was principled this entire time. He was not from the start. His entire video series about this was an endless string of pseudoscience and cherry-picking to defend his already reached conclusions and logical fallacy after logical fallacy. But of course Mike Israetel defends that because Mike, like Jeff, is a glorified midwit who's convinced a ton of normies that he's really intelligent.
He is simply not that intelligent. And you watch a number of his videos, this is painfully apparent. But he has fooled so many people, he's convinced the world, really, that he is not only a leading expert in this field.
So if you talk to me about anything with resistance training and hypertrophy, yes, I consider myself to be one of the world's preeminent experts on all of that, especially in its application and interaction with science.
He has convinced people he's a legitimate genius.
Total fugazi.
But I did not turn on him rapidly after the Lyle McDonald and Solomon Nelson videos came out a number of months ago, maybe last year at this point. Like some people did. The spineless frauds. You know who they are. They worshipped Mike for years. Then suddenly, as the wind blew the other way, they suddenly hated him and said how he was full of shit. Very convenient. But whenever the Lyle and Solomon videos started to really drop, those kind of opened the floodgates massively. And the PhD dissection Solomon did is, as he calls it, a sham. It's a terrible paper. I mean, it is like undergraduate, second-year level work. But it really exposes something about this industry and academia in general. We'll talk about that too. But it's sadly not surprising. Like, I never had read his PhD or any other academic work he's done, but the saddest part is, I was not surprised by it. A lot of you might have been, but knowing what I know now about Mike and reacting to more and more of his content lately, I kind of read that and was like, oh yeah, it figures. But the endless errors from the fact that he really had no legitimate premise, he was essentially just rewriting stuff that was already known. The grammatical problems, just an aside, I do not trust nor will I listen to anybody that cannot use proper grammar. One or two mistakes in a big document, sure, it's going to happen, I understand. But when you're somebody, especially in a prominent position in academia, and you're making elementary grammatical mistakes routinely, I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Beyond that too, the numbers he used, those deviations, made absolutely zero sense. It was impossible for those outcomes to occur even hypothetically. So the paper was a complete train wreck. He copied and pasted tons of sections. It was extremely lazy, but a lot of window dressing was put on it to make it seem very smart. Surprise, surprise, that's what his content still is right now. It's what it's always been. That's who Mike is. So you guys know me. I hate to say I told you so. But I will say, #revival was right. Yet again, as I always am. So here are some clips of me discussing Mike, and I'll put some timestamps in the corner too, so you can verify them for yourself.
The fact is that a lot of the folks in Jeff's videos had a 25 or plus FFMI.
Okay, Mike is still waffling. This bullet point says the fact that the folks in Jeff's videos had FFMIs over 25 does not mean they were secretly on drugs. In fact, they were probably okay, how do you say in fact they were probably drug-free? How do you determine probably? Complete speculation. Israetel is a complete pseudoscientist. This guy is an idiot. He's a midwit who knows how to charm and convince people with his bullshit.
During my last cut, I reached 6% body fat.
That is indefensible. I mean, it is truly laughable. A guy at his body fat, let alone the credentials and the esteem he holds, trying to play off 6% body fat. It's utter copium. And then you compare Mike Israetel's pictures in his gym versus on the stage, you see the reality of the situation. And there are a few main ways that people virtually cite themselves. The Mike Israetel method is to simply say the science shows, and that's it. He never cites anything. Do you remember a few months ago when he introduced the lying curl on the bench? The concept is that you're getting the supreme stretch because your arms can reach back farther than they normally would, except it doesn't actually work out that way. So let's pause. There is no real deeper stretch happening. You can see Jared's arm whenever it is at its fullest length right here. If we just crop his body and change the angle to where it would normally be on, say, an incline curl, or even a seated or standing curl, this is no farther than it would be in those scenarios either. This is not slowed down. This is the actual speed they had her going. And I've also seen Mike put celebrities and athletes through workouts. They'll be using these light weights, but with super slow motion. It's just something that, realistically, these people are not going to train like this, nor should they be training like this. It's something you do for the camera, like, oh, slow it down. And this stuff works great in commercial gyms. You can woo people that don't lift a lot with this. It feels so much heavier, doesn't it? If you are not metabolically and genetically blessed, you're going to look like shit eating this way, if this is even a good percentage of your diet. For Mike, it looks like a very good percentage.
That I either consistently eat only when I'm on a mass gaining phase, or just fucks with every now and again.
Oh, so you're on a mass gaining phase. Oh, I'm bulking, bro. I mean, dude, this guy is the actual meme. That's why you had to get the surgery, right, Mike? You gained all that fat whenever you were younger, and you still struggle with it. Oh my god, man. This guy's self-awareness is just rock bottom. Or maybe it's actually really high and he just knows he can't do better, so he just turns it all into like this big joke and kind of form of therapy.
But this is a great segue because we're going to talk about the flaws of academia itself. And this is something that Mike makes very apparent. I mean, it's very common now. It's not only Mike that does this, to be fair, but so many people now that have PhDs in whatever field, they put doctor in front of their name. So it gives that illusion of credibility, especially in like a medical sense. Simply the word doctor and DR period before somebody's name innately makes them sound more trustworthy and makes them sound smart and credible. And that's just simply how it is. So this is not Mike specific, but across the industry and across other fields of life too, a lot of people now get PhDs in very useless fields of study, but they're doctor, and they carry this title around, and they use it for marketing, which I guess I don't blame them, but that's something to keep in mind too in general. Plenty of people, they can have PhDs, masters, even low-level degrees too. Someone simply having a degree, or even a high-level degree, or even multiple degrees, multiple high-level degrees, does not mean that they're smart, it does not mean that they're correct, and it does not mean that they're honest. And this is when we have to have a very difficult conversation, and most people simply will not have it, because it requires them to actually think for themselves. Most people now, especially with the rise of AI and ChatGPT, People love to simply outsource all their thinking to that.
We have direct research on sumo wrestlers and on football players, American football players. You can look up this research anytime. Just go to ChatGPT or go to Gemini or any AI and be like, hey, is it true that some sumos and football players have been spotted in the literature to have FFMIs over 25?
Classic Mike. Look it up yourself. He's not going to actually show us.
He's going to cite the actual studies for you.
Why don't you do that yourself, Mike?
Click through them and see it for yourself.
Yeah, click through it yourself. Go read it on your own. I'm Mr. Science Doctorate over here. I won't do it for you, though.
And even before, people would simply say, Google it, bro. Now it's, oh, ChatGPT it. And everybody loves to say, oh, well, this person said this, and they've got X credential, so they must be correct. Even without the academic credentials, think about fitness and bodybuilding. Oh, that guy's bigger than you, bro. He must be right. People say this to me. They say it to Lyle. They say it to anybody that critiques Israetel. We can make 100 valid points about his complete lack of logic and the fallacies. And they're going to say, oh, well, he's bigger than you, bro. He looks better than you, bro. That's it. That is the level most people are operating on. Even those in academia themselves.
Who am I compared to Mike Mentzer? Well, I'm bigger and stronger than Mike Mentzer. I'm more educated than Mike Mentzer. I know more things than Mike Mentzer.
And of course, Mike has touted his own IQ as being extremely high. I think he said he's tested it and he got above the threshold of what they can possibly test.
Because I've taken enough IQ tests, and you can only write so many books and be on so many podcasts until people are like, you're pretty smart. I've taken the Ravens Advanced Progressive Matrices test, and I pegged at scale high. So you get every single question right. And so my IQ is above 160. We don't know how high because they don't do standardized IQ tests above that.
And he says that very confidently. How true is that? I don't know. But given the fact that Mike is a known on-record coper and he likes to exaggerate things, do you believe him? Because I don't. But in terms of academia itself, this is a core problem. And Mike's dissertation getting reviewed and accepted and passed is a shining example of this. I've told you guys recently in great detail about the fake natty mafia, how everybody in the industry is in on the game, and the fakes promote and defend other fakes. And even guys like Mike that admit to taking stuff, they will defend fakes too, because they're all in the same clique and they can make money together.
I think Hussein is likely drug-free. Yes, I do. Yes, I actually think that.
No, he does not think that at all. You can look at his face right here and tell he obviously does not think that.
By the way, if Hussein wasn't drug-free, he's documented doing a drug-tested show like months ago.
But I guess he's going to skate over the fact that no drug testing actually took place as confirmed by a guy that was in that show.
That would be crazy. Hussein's a good guy. I don't think he's going to do that.
There's another value judgment. Oh, he's a good guy, bro.
It's all politics. That's all it really is. And you can say this for anything in life, really. Politics are the driving force behind so many things. It's not just government. Politics is interpersonal relationships too, keep in mind. But it has the business attached to it as well, in a lot of cases. Mike's PhD getting passed is proof positive that the people that passed it, well, there's two options really. Number one, they simply didn't read it, or they skimmed it over very quickly and said, yeah, sure, man, go ahead. Or number two, they're that incompetent that they did read it and they allowed it to pass. But this applies at the low levels of education, even up to the PhD level. I'm sure some of you guys remember even back in middle school and high school, there are some kids that are always close to the professor or the teacher. They're buddy-buddy with them. And guess what? They're usually going to pass, even if they don't deserve it. I'm not saying they're outright cheating in every case, even though they might be. But if they're close to the professor, do you think some grading on a curve is happening with the favorites of that teacher? So I would assume it went like this. Mike wrote his PhD, however long it took him, apparently not that long, given the fact that he copied and pasted a ton of it and it was a complete piece of shit. But he did that. Then he asked his professor, hey, can you review this? And the guy said, yeah, sure, man. He skimmed it over and said, hey, man, proud of you, good job. Enjoy your diploma and your new title. And on top of that, too, think about this aspect. Everybody's got an ego to some degree. If you are not friendly with somebody that reviews your work, even if your work is very good, if you've pissed them off in some way, they're most likely going to be less likely to accept your thesis or your PhD dissertation, whatever the document is going to be. That's simply the reality of life as a human. Ego is always involved to varying degrees. And a lot of people, especially high-ranking in academia, they've got massive egos.
I'm both on a raw IQ scale smarter than almost every coach, maybe every coach. And I know more about physiology, body responses, etc. than they do. You've never met anyone with as much willpower as me. And whatever it is you think you're good at in your life, I'd probably take about a year and become an authority in the field in which you think you're good.
Not only in terms of what people say and what they think about themselves, but in terms of their beliefs and their ideologies. So somebody could come up with a PhD that kind of goes against the mainstream narrative of a given topic, and it could be very well done, but the person reviewing it could be like, oh, I disagree with that, it goes against the established, right, so-called science, and it doesn't get put through. Or at least it goes through a lot of revisions, it needs fixed. They might have to tame it, so to speak, to appease the person doing the review. And think about the snowball effect of this too. So the person that taught Mike and the other people that taught him led him to become the way he is, at least to some extent. Teachers in general don't totally control the outcomes of students, of course, but they certainly play a part. So the person that taught Mike and he cited as his big mentor and reviewed his PhD, that guy's a schmuck. He produces and enables a schmuck like Mike. Mike also teaches students. He's going to create more schmucks as well. And you can even see now in the industry, Mike has tons of friends that are schmucks. He accepts and promotes and enables them too. And a lot of these people are in academia. It's a never-ending cycle. It's an avalanche. It is schmuck after schmuck after schmuck for generations, teaching each other, enabling each other, and patting each other on the back and pushing garbage through. I'm sure that Mike's mentor, as well as Mike himself, they have plenty of students that, one, they totally miseducated, two, they didn't teach to critically think, and three, those students will get advanced degrees themselves, pushing the same type of slop. And many of those students, too, also become professors. They do peer review. They have high-ranking academic positions with some level of leverage and power. It goes on. And beyond that as well, a lot of these people, they really spend their entire life in the classroom, from kindergarten up until they retire. And at the PhD level, you have to kind of break out of that and go do things in the real world to some extent. Many of these academics, spanning across the spectrum, they're really grounded in theory and textbooks, not actual experience. And this is when people get upset and say, you're downplaying science and credentials. Not totally. That said, guys, I think at this point it's kind of obvious now, across the spectrum, like I said, somebody simply having credentials does not mean a whole lot anymore. For given really specialized fields, maybe it can, but stuff like, nutrition science, that bullshit, exercise science, still a relatively weak field, let alone all this new crop of fields as well. It doesn't mean a whole lot, and oftentimes they are going to get outdated information by default, because academia, advancements are made there, yes, but oftentimes the advancements take a while to really seep in to the textbooks, to the information widely accepted. That's just how it goes. So they're in academia for their entire life, and oftentimes they, one, don't want to question any mainstream narrative, anything accepted, even if there's good reason to. They're too lazy to do so. People simply want to pass and get the credentials. I think that's the most common thing. People want to simply just get by. That's how most people operate. Oftentimes, if they go against the established narrative, or the guidelines, or the procedures, whatever it's going to be, they will be at risk of failing the class, alienating themselves from the professor or multiple professors, from other high-ranking people. You are incentivized in academia from a low level up to the highest level to be a robot, to simply parrot the same things you've been told, and then answer the questions right, fill in the bubbles correctly, and then you're a good little student. You have successfully downloaded and retained all of the established information, even if it's wrong or very lacking in support, and now you're ready to get the pay raise, get the title, etc. The fact of the matter is, almost anybody at this point can continue to pass in school, even up to the master's and PhD level, if they memorize enough, if they stay long enough, if they pay enough, and if they know the right people. And that pisses off a lot of people, the conventional wisdom, especially of the boomers, like, oh, anyone that goes to school and gets an advanced degree must be really intelligent. That is patently not the case anymore. You do those things, especially those political aspects, shake the right hands, make the right friends, pat the right people on the back, you can graduate and even get high-ranking degrees and not be that intelligent. Some of these people are straight up stupid, and as if that wasn't enough, we also have to talk about the elephant in the room here that all of these so-called science-based creators seemingly never talk about, unless it's a study they're trying to take down, from the other side. These exercise science papers, as well as almost every nutrition paper too, they tout these things as ironclad proof. They're severely limited by default. Here is a clip of my recent video called Science-Based is Dead, because the public tide has turned a lot against the so-called science across the board, not only in the fitness industry, but in general life, because more and more people are realizing the things I've talked about here. But in this clip, I'm going to break down briefly, but I think concisely, a lot of the flaws in exercise science.
Almost every exercise science paper is very limited by nature. It often includes a very small sample size. This sample size will often grow doing anything because they are totally untrained or still novices with rapid gains to be made. Oftentimes, these studies are going to have very odd parameters for the participants. They will define someone as an advanced trainee based on self-reported time in the gym. Maybe they approximate their 1 rep max on the leg press to 800 pounds, sometimes not even testing it. The ways they attempt to measure muscle gain is often very flawed. It can easily be conflated with swelling and water. There's many confounding variables. This can include nutrition, body fat percentage, overall limb length, bone structure. Once the people leave the lab, you have no idea what they're really doing, or eating, or how much they're sleeping, or anything else, no matter what they tell you. And beyond all of that, did the results even reach statistical significance? Oftentimes, they don't.
And these problems are never going to really be fixed, because there is not the funding needed to do major studies on large samples of people. The only really large sample sizes in terms of like nutrition are epidemiology. They're based on surveys, like how much saturated fat have you eaten over the past 2 years? And they have really loose parameters for how they define that. They will define something like a lasagna with a number of ingredients as a high meat food because there's some meat in it. It's completely ridiculous. These food frequency questionnaires and these, respondent data surveys, there's no real involvement. They simply get a bunch of answers and then extrapolate them out into what they claim is like cause and effect. It's a complete mess. But of course, no matter how weak the data might be, these people love to tap it if it agrees with their preconceived notion or their agenda. Not only Mike, tons of people do this too. But this is one of the biggest problems with the so-called science-based movement now. And the funny thing with Mike is, we're going to talk about this in a second, he never really even cites any papers.
We have incredibly good reason to believe that natural muscle size is very normally distributed.
Incredibly. He's done this a number of times in this video. Whenever he wants to make a point in favor of his side, every single time he's using a very gaudy adjective.
We've seen this with every other piece of data we've collected for natural muscle size with way higher samples.
Classic Mike, I bet he references not a single other piece of data.
There's old articles on the RP website where he actually provides at least some citations. Every video of his that I've seen in the past number of years, he never actually cites a single paper. Unless somebody specifically talks about it, and in the recent nippard garbage video, he mentions that one. Not even with a full reference, he simply calls it like the Corey study. This guy, the epitome of science allegedly, the paragon of it, he doesn't even cite papers. That said, simply citing papers like Jeff Nippard does, really quickly, that's how they all do it, it does not make somebody right by default. Because this goes into the next slew of problems when it comes to using these papers. Because think about what I mentioned with the IQ. People that have a low IQ or general midwits, they simply see a citation, and to them that's ironclad proof. No, it's not. You have to actually dig deep and keep reading these things to get to the bottom of it. And nobody does that, including the academics themselves. They will apply the findings of a given study, no matter how limited that it might be, to every single person in every single context, which is totally unscientific. And once again, this is something that Mike has done himself, but so many other so-called science-based people do the same thing. You notice it with all of them. This goes back to what I mentioned about academia being rotten at its core. It simply is. I mean, we have generations now of students, and they all do the same things. And on top of that too, they cherry-pick the studies that they do this with. So they find the ones, or they find ones, and they can shape them to fit their narrative or their opinion or their agenda. You can find other papers that would go against what they're saying, They'll never talk about those. They'll talk about the science all day long, but when it comes to the things that don't agree with them, oh, I haven't seen it, or they totally ignore it. I've seen so many videos of Mike. He talks about, oh, the science says this, the science says that, it's proven, we know. He says things as outright fact. He never provides a single citation, let alone does he dive into any of these papers. Have you noticed that about Mike too? The exercise scientist, the PhD, the expert. Has he ever made a video whenever he simply just sits down and dives into a paper and explains it? I don't think he ever has. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think he ever has one time. He knows that if he actually goes into these papers in decent detail, other people that understand the subjects better than him, they're going to call him out. So by not doing this, he avoids a lot of potential conflict and drama. In terms of the Solomon video, I don't think Mike's going to respond to that because how could you? I mean, there's no way you could even try to justify it. This is irredeemable. Like, he can't even possibly try to talk about this because what could he say? It was just simply not a good paper. Even for a layperson, if you've got a general understanding, it doesn't really add anything to the discussion. There's nothing remotely close to groundbreaking or even really insightful in it. And it's fitting too because that applies to the stuff Mike has been saying for years as well. He's never really changed. He's got no major insights that I can really tell. He can sort of window dress things up and make himself sound smarter than he is.
Let's say I just feed 50 grams of protein. If I throw in a 30-gram Gatorade shake into that meal, now it's 80 grams total nutrient. The carbohydrates are so anticatabolic, so parasympathetic. They shuttle all that in, and you have the remaining all of that 50 grams of protein to go into the muscle machinery.
What he's now implying is that if you don't eat enough carbohydrates, what's going to happen is your body's going to break down protein you've just eaten for energy. Absolute fucking nonsense. The primary source of energy in the absence of carbohydrates is fat.
And kind of obfuscating, and he throws in, the gay jokes, and he tosses it over to Scott, the video guy, or if he's with somebody making the content, he will continually gas them up, and he always changes the topic. He did this endlessly in the crappy video he made. Not crappy, it was a complete piece of shit defending Jeff Nippard's defense of the fake natty mafia. He did that for 30 minutes in that video. He didn't even try to hide it.
Scott, what, a few months ago now?
Okay, we gotta bring in Scott the video guy and do the little looking to the corner, half-joking thing to ease the tension.
Mr. Jeff Nippard released a video.
Okay, right off the bat, look at this glazing. It says, Jeff Nippard made an incredible, in all caps, video.
Highly recommended, incredible video. You're going to learn a ton.
We're not even 2 minutes into this. This is just a complete glaze fest.
Jeff made a reply to these comments and made another video, a controversy reply video. And that video is also amazing.
This is unbelievable. Yet again, another paragon of science, allegedly, Mike Israetel. All value judgment statements.
So Hussein Farhat is an outstanding example of a wonderful physique.
He's an outstanding example of a wonderful physique.
I've trained with him.
Oh, okay. Surprise, surprise.
My bet, if I had money, I wouldn't bet a lot. Hey, the Judaism won't let me bet any money. What are you guys, crazy?
Oh, we even got to use this one too, huh, Mike? Gotta pull all the rabbits out of the hat we can to obfuscate and defend Jeff and keep chopping up the flow of the video.
My bets are the stock market. Hey. And so the comment section and the controversy video after that turned against the beautiful elven face.
The beautiful face of Jeff Nippard. Okay, bro, this is... Oh my god. Truly. This is pathetic.
In his utter perfection. Scott, is Jeff Nippard really handsome or really, really handsome?
Mike, go fuck yourself.
And you can find other videos of him too. He collaborates with a number of people. He does the same thing repeatedly. What he doesn't actually do is dive into science. And as mentioned too, if he does ever cite anything, usually it's brought right to his face, and he kind of has to talk about it, he is going to get it wrong. Solomon pointed this out in his own PhD. He referenced a number of articles that did not actually support what he was claiming that they supported, and the most glaring example to me is the recent video where he defended Jeff Nippard. He showed the FFMI table from that crappy study, mind you. He defended the enhanced sample. He disregarded the natural sample, very conveniently because it fit his narrative. But in the chart with the FFMIs, he claimed this.
And this graph is incredibly, incredibly illustrative and is going to help you understand the natty max situation way better than if you just intellectualized it. On the left side are people who said they weren't using steroids, and on the right side are people who were using steroids. And as you can see, these are basically bell curves as viewed from the top down.
Look at these bell curves. I mean, these are not exactly even. This one here, it's higher up on the left, then it drops off noticeably to the right.
The steroid users, just one dude there who has like somewhere under 20 fat-free mass index, and one dude who has over 31 fat-free mass index, a couple people clustered close. Most people in the steroid group had around a 25 plus or minus fat-free mass index.
Well, that's not most, Mike. You have a number of those guys that are in the 24, and it looks like equal numbers as 25 to 29 and the 23 to 23.9.
He completely messed up the numbers, simply interpreting that chart. The exercise scientist with a PhD and an off-the-charts IQ cannot do basic math. And that's also the case with his macros too, apparently. And even setting aside the formal science for a bit. One, because as we talked about, it's so flawed. And two, Mike never really cites any to begin with. A lot of what Mike has said over the years, and especially now, from a simple logical standpoint, not needing any citations, any references, any formal study, any deep experience in the field, it just doesn't even pass the smell test.
You should probably train more than the pro bodybuilders.
Really?
An hour of extra sleep that brings you from sleeping 2 hours less than you need to 1 less than you need is unreal powerful and comparable to tons of anabolic drugs.
Anything to possibly even back that up academically? No. Logically, you'd be hard-pressed to do so.
People see striated glutes and they go, that can't be healthy.
Which Mike has never had, by the way, despite him claiming, and his clueless fanboys claiming he has. He never has. He's never been close.
And I would love to be in real life with that person instead of over social media and say, okay, no, I hear you. Why not?
Mike does that all the time in his videos. He loves to come up with hypothetical scenarios and argue against those. He creates strawmen and then defeats the strawman very conveniently and very quickly. He's done this on a number of subjects I've seen about training and about nutrition. It's another easy way he has to get out of the logical conundrums he's in when he can actually explain something when he simply doesn't know. He was talking one time about the keto diet, and he was saying how it's no better than any general diet assuming the calories are controlled. Okay, sure, you can have that opinion.
I ate a super keto diet with tons of veggies and lean meats. I started at 200 pounds. And I ended at 200 pounds, except I was shredded and more jacked. Like, I got you. Did you start TRT? Well, hell yeah, I did. Okay. Did you start lifting weights 6 times a week, man?
He made a complete straw man in a stupid hypothetical, and then of course he went on to make a 2-minute long gay joke about hugging big, hairy, sweaty men. If you can believe that. The thing is, a lot of people never actually notice these things because, as mentioned, many people are simply not that smart, and they kind of tune out the content. It's something they play in the background. They don't pay full attention. And on top of that too, they innately trust and like dudes like Mike. Same with Jeff Nippard, high subscriber counts. They just innately believe what they say. They don't actually kind of put it through the mental rigor or even try to question it in any way, let alone simply think about it. So these guys can say whatever stupid shit that they want forever, and almost nobody checks them. And then when it comes to Mike, his comeuppance has really finally come now, but it took a long time. So we've assembled a decent list here already. And I think the final thing that really tells you who Mike is his unwillingness to debate. Or I should say, he will only debate certain people.
Yes, I consider myself to be one of the world's preeminent experts on all of that, especially in its application and interaction with science. I make no excuses for that. I will debate anyone in the world about that. That's easy.
And it seems like he has stopped doing that too, because why would he at this point? But he's been in the scene for many years now. I think he did more debates in the past, like years ago. He did the one with Lyle McDonald, and that came to bite him in the ass very badly. I mean, that was one of the catalysts for this entire thing, because Lyle objectively won, and then everything that came from that, Lyle continued to live in Mike's head rent-free from that, and he still does. I mean, a lot of the dumb things Mike has said and posted all stem from Lyle getting in his head. I remember 2 to 3 years ago, maybe 4 at this point, he debated Joel Seedman too. Seedman has been called out more than most people ever in the industry, because he essentially cites his own research and he just kind of loops himself that way. And he comes up with all of these crazy exercises that appear really special and new. He reinvents the wheel every day for a living. Getting him in a corner during a debate is not hard. One, because the public perception of him is so bad, everybody dislikes him from the onset. And beyond that too, anybody with an IQ that is even sniffing 3 digits could trap Joel Seedman in a debate, because Joel's not that smart himself. He did not do well in that debate either. That one is really unimpressive. And then he debated Greg Doucette. I forget how long ago that was too. Similar to Seedman, Greg Doucette is not that smart of a guy. He's good at business for sure. He can make controversy all the time and kind of churn that out. Greg Doucette is a master at manipulating impressionable young lifters. As I told you guys about many years ago, I was really the first person to really call him out and stay on his neck. But beyond that, Greg is essentially an incoherent rambler. He just yaps and squeaks, and he'll say train harder. That's his like core training philosophy. From what I can tell, not a whole lot of nuance. I mean, he's really drama-centric. And if it works, it works. I get it. He's like a drama sort of, entertainment channel, much more than actual practical advice. Even if he tries to give it, some of his advice I'm sure is decent, but overall, he is the meme of Steve Buscemi with the skateboard. How do you do, fellow kids? Greg Doucette doesn't even pretend to be a proper scientific mind. So beating him, similar to Joel Seedman, is really not much in my book. And outside of that, I've not really seen Mike actually debate anybody. And he appears on all these podcasts. He's the expert there, right? He's been on all of the big podcasts, even the ones not totally related to fitness. He's on those too. The guy is doing all kinds of media tours. He's everywhere. I don't think it's an exaggeration, guys, to say Israetel is the single biggest name in the fitness industry. You could say it's Jeff Nippard, which I can see that for sure, but Jeff Nippard is not doing all of these podcasts like Mike does. And Nippard does not put out as much content as Mike. RP puts out a new video every single day. And when it comes to this point too, nobody is required to debate somebody else ever for any reason. That said, when you are Mike and you position yourself verbatim, he says this, he's one of the foremost experts in the world in this field. He is the paragon of science. He's way smarter than everybody. He's the expert at all these things. He doesn't do a whole lot of debates, and I don't think we're going to see him do really one ever again. But for a guy as high ranking as him, I think he could and should do more debates, if for no other reason than to, educate his viewers on his input and his points and expand on them and kind of show them how to scientifically work around an argument. And beyond that too, he could if he wanted to. The guy is rich as hell. He's not some undergrad student doing a lot of schoolwork on top of working overtime every week to just get by. He's completely loaded. I know he jokes about the Lamborghinis and the butlers and stuff. Does he actually have a butler? Probably not. That said, this guy is drowning in money. But I guess that further goes to prove that money cannot buy intelligence, and it certainly cannot buy wisdom. So at this point, if you still take Mike Israetel seriously...
You've made some videos about Mike Israetel. Have you ever seen some of his recommendations for volume?
Mike Israetel is a fucking imbecile.
Oh!
That's just my opinion. Doesn't have to be anybody else's, but it's an opinion based on 20 years of experience as an exercise physiologist. Yeah, I wouldn't trust Mike Israetel on anything.
I've come to kind of agree with you.
I mean, nobody's wrong about every single thing. Nobody, even the person you hate the absolute most. But in general, this guy has no credibility. It's done. I mean, I don't know how many more examples we have to see, whether it's talking about the training or the diet or breaking down the science, the rare times he actually does, the blind politicking and defense and glazing of his friends. I mean, he's built on a house of cards. He is, like I said, a glorified midwit who has convinced people, to his credit, very good job of it, excellent job at it. If you're a general person searching bodybuilding content, fitness content, nutrition, whatever, he's going to be one of the first results anywhere you search. And for that reason, he is too big to fail. Same with Jeff Nippard. I know many of you are turning against Jeff Nippard now too, which is justified. He's also totally full of shit and a complete pseudoscientist. He just built a Nippard lab. We're going to react to plenty of the garbage he pumps out of there too. Stay tuned, because you know it's coming. I'm sure Israetel's going to make appearances there as well. Maybe he'll be the chief sport scientist of the Nippard lab. But really, that's how it goes, man. To get to the very top of any industry and field, okay, not simply fitness, you have to do the politics. You have to kiss the right asses, shake the right hands, turn the right eyes to certain things. I mean, there's no other way to really ascend the ranks to the highest levels. On top of that, too, you need a lot of money. And if you have a following the size of Mike and Jeff and these other people, yeah, they've got plenty of money. Then they can use that for their own leverage as well. Guys like Solomon, guys like Lyle, guys like me, we can talk about this and we can like put a dent into the credibility of Israetel, even if it's completely valid. He's too big to fail. Every day, even if 10,000 people a day for the next number of weeks say, oh, this guy's full of shit, unsubscribe, unfollow, he's going to gain all of those back in the same time frame. He is that big. So these people are never going to disappear if they keep making content. They're too big to fail. That's really the biggest problem. Once they become so established, by the time they do, it's too late. Even if all of this gets uncovered about them, it's over. They are so big, such a big audience. So many people are exposed to them every second of the day. And the people that are new, they can't determine this. They can't pick up on all of his nonsense, all of his pseudoscience, no matter how wrong and obvious it might be to people like me or you. The newbies don't know better, because how could they? And just like that, he's got a massive crop of people replacing the ones that just left. And on the net positive overall, he will still gain subscribers and followers at the end of the day. And then they're going to see, oh, he collaborates with Jeff Nippard too, bro. I like Jeff Nippard. He's credible, right? Because they innately trust people with the more subscribers and followers by default. I mean, even for myself, guys, if I search up something I'm not familiar with, it's going to come up with the top channels, and I'm going to innately trust them, at least to some extent, because I don't know better about the given topic. It's like that with anything. So once these guys, even think about Athlete X back in the day too, he's still a big name in fitness, but he's nowhere close to the size of Israetel or Nippard right now. He's still very big though. Even him, when you search up something and you have no way to really debunk or even critique or criticize anything they say, you innately trust them. That's one of the reasons, really the biggest reason these guys get away with it. Then on top of that, the politicking and the handshaking and the ass-kissing and the endless circle jerk that these guys engage in, it is a mafia. There's no police force on earth big enough to break up this mafia. And when you really think about it too, the mafia gets so powerful that they control the police and the politicians and other people as well. So there's no end in sight. Solomon's video, to his credit, has done huge numbers in just a couple days. It might actually hit over 1 million views. It might actually prompt a response from Mike. Like I said, I don't think so, because how could you possibly try to defend that piece of shit? That said, that's going to do something. In the grand scheme, though, too big to fail, I think. I think he's going to ultimately skate through it. In the next month, something big is going to happen with somebody else, and then, everybody has such short attention spans now. We all do by default, because of social media and the phones. So, it is what it is. Even Jeff Nippard, right? He did that entire nonsense with the fake natty mafia, just egregiously kissing their asses, defending them with just the purest bullshit you could possibly come up with. And people got mad at him for a bit, and they wouldn't totally go away. Same with Mike. People would be like, oh, that PhD was kind of shitty, bro. Oh, it's okay, though. I like Mike. He's got good info. People don't really care that much, and then they forget. And that's how it goes. So I will be here talking about Mike when I can, when it's warranted, which seemingly is a lot. The guy is a complete clown. Same with Nippard. Same with other people, too. So I'll make that content, and that's pretty much it. I'm never going to catch them, realistically. And I'm at the point now that I'm too mean to them for them to even accept me into their friend group. But I guess that's the price I pay. But this has been it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. If you want to get in direct contact with me to cover your own training and eating, check out the links down below. Get your program. I've got them for novices and intermediates. And check out my nutrition guide. Fully in depth. Much more detailed than anything you've ever seen in the fitness industry, especially from someone like Mike. I guarantee you that. And I will catch you guys next time.